You are now listening to For All Nerds Show, a podcast about geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. For All Nerds is hosted by DJ Benhameen and Tatiana King-Jones. For All Nerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
For All Nerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/forallnerds. Welcome to For All Nerds.
And what's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of the For All Nerds Show. The voice of the urban geek, the podcast where we discuss geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. And as always, in the captain's chair, it's your boy, DJ Benhameen, a.k.a. the author of Jimi Hendrix' Purple Haze, Reading Rainbro, Arsenio Holodeck, Ghost in the Shelto, 4DMX, Lionel Richie.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Thought Pilgrim here in the spaceship tonight. And as always, we need that one. Thought Pilgrim versus the world.
Yes, I love that. Yes, that's got to be it. That's got to be it.
Yes. And as always, I'm joined by
Tatiana King, the Grand Duchess of Tech, also known as Mulatto Hightower, Tatiana Kang, the Conqueror, Coldest Winter Soldier Ever, Doc Ocky, Tesseract Thompson, Lambo Calrissian, Gucci Mandalorian, Flex Luthor, and Glorilla Rod.
Which is another one we might have to make. Yeah.
Which one?
Glorilla Grodd.
No, because I was just like, how do we?
Yeah, you're right. That might be wild, disrespectful.
It's no matter what you do, it's disrespectful.
Ooh, that's ugly. Yeah, that could get. Yeah.
It's fire as an AKA, but not as an illustration.
Yeah, that's it. Don't ever illustrate that one. Yeah, we don't. Yeah. Someone to feed that into an AI, and it's to be terrible.
Oh, please stop! Why are you giving them ideas? Nobody was thinking that till you said that shit, bro. My
because
God,
I love chaos.
Clearly,
clearly, and
Jesus.
Yeah, and we're back here on the For All Nerds Show. Thank you, as always, to everybody for joining us. Make sure you're hitting that follow, that subscribe on all those various platforms. Thank you for all the new followers, all the new listeners every week joining us here. The fam. Thank y'all so much. Thank you to everybody on Patreon. I think we owe y'all another bonus episode. We got to crank that out pretty soon.
We do.
Yeah. Shout out to all the Pisces out there. You know, it's my birthday week. We still celebrating right now, so thank y'all for all the love, everybody who's been hitting me up, wishing me happy birthday. Thank you very much for that.
Gotta make sure we get this out. Happy birthday, Benhameen! Burr, 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 burr. Hey. More life to you. Good sir, my brother.
Yeah, thank you very much for that birthday wish you sent me on the X on the
it's
4DMX.
Twitter. I don't care what nobody says. It's Twitter.
On the Twitters, yeah. You hit me on the Twitters with a very heartfelt message. Thank you very much for that.
Of course. You're my bro. Of course.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you to everybody. You know, it's been a good week, man. I've been feeling really good lately. I can't lie. I've been working on some new music. I was in a bit of a dumps for a little bit, but you know, lately I've been feeling really good, and I just want to take the time to really appreciate, you know, and sit in that, because I've been, you know, feeling really good lately.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, people looking for you, finding you on the internet. You know, some big time shit happening behind the scenes, man.
Man, as always, you know, like I really don't want to, you know, say too much, but I had to say today I took a meeting with some, you know, influentials to say the least. And it was a very unexpected meeting. I didn't, you know, it came out the blue when this person reached out to me. I really thought that it was a falsehood, some fraud mess, you know. Yeah, I really was like, nah, ain't no way.
You thought it was some false prophet shit.
I had to, you know, I got a DM from someone, and I just really was like, this is a fake page, ain't no way. And then I checked the page, and it was the page.
It's fucking real.
Even then, I still didn't really believe it, but you know, then today it really happened, and I spoke to this person, you know, on a project that, you know, seems very fruitful for both of us.
And let me just say, let this be a testament to the fact that you should always, and this goes for everyone listening, put your work out there. If you are a creator of any sort, regardless of it's not always about getting money or getting famous or whatever. It's like, if you are truly a creator and you want your creations in the world, put it out there. Don't do it for the likes. Don't do it for the
Yes.
views. Put it out there because it makes you happy. Put it out there for you. And when you ride that wave and just continuously do it, do you, I guarantee you're going to get opportunity, whether you realize it or not, or whether you're really truly looking for it or not. I guarantee you certain people are going to see your work that may want to work with you. I guarantee that you are going to be positioning yourself in a much better place than if you were not putting your content or your art or anything that you create out there. So, as I said, let that be a testament. And I'm glad that you've also been taking it upon yourself, especially when it comes to things like Hendrix and everything you do, your music. I always tell you, yo, just put that shit out there, because let people hear it. Doesn't matter if one person views it, and that one person is always me. Who cares? I'm always gonna RT that, and I'm always going to repost and share. And all you need is one wave, right? All you need is that one click that will take it further than you ever thought you could ever take it. So I'm very proud of you, and I'm really happy for this potential upcoming opportunity.
Oh, thank you very
Yeah.
much. And I fully endorse everything you just said. One of my favorite quotes is from Little Richard, who once said that all it takes is one person. Like he said that, or they said, everyone is a star, basically. And it takes one other person to see that star in you and pour it out into the world. And that's always been one of my favorite quotes. And what you said is really real about continuing to put stuff out, because when I started this year, I had a goal to make a Instagram post every day, and I quickly fell off it. And then I was feeling really bad because I fell off it, and I'm like, damn. But even though I haven't done every day, what I have done is post a lot more than I was posting in the year before. And I've been consistent with posting. Even if it's not every day, I'm at least every other day or every 3 days. And it's just consistent I've been with posting everything I do, from music to comics to, the show, to just everything, and constantly just putting it out there. And like you said, some days I'll get 2 views on some song I put, or no retweets, or no love on, when I post Hendrix. And then some days it's a bunch of likes when I post something about Hendrix. So it doesn't really matter, though, because it's just constantly putting out there, and you never know. And that's something we always talk about. That goes back to Combat Jack, rest in peace. When we started the Combat Jack show, we'd always talk about we didn't really know who was listening when we started. Right. And then come to find out, everyone was listening. And and everyone eventually came to learn that name, the Combat Jack show. So it is what it is. Same thing with ForAllNerds. We started as one thing, and now we're this. And it's just that steady grind of doing it week after week. And you never know who's listening. Shout out to Levar Burton.
Yo, let's talk about it real quick. Because Mr. Burton, his documentary for Reading Rainbow is actually it's been in all the festivals, rave reviews, all that stuff. But now they're going to bring it to theaters, right?
Real quick, how long did Reading Rainbow run?
Reading Rainbow.
That's me. But yeah, how long did it run for? Because
it says 26 seasons.
Damn,
it's damn near 30 years.
Yeah, it was it's so many generations of kids.
I was in that generation.
I was in it too. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's something that spans generations, where we both grew up on Reading Rainbow.
That is real. And Mr. Burton, he is realist, especially, and granted, I have this particular skewed view of who this guy is, right? Because I'm only having PBS, and not just that, but also Geordie LaForge and shit like that. And then, for a later extent, you're talking about Roots and stuff like that. But
oh man,
my
almost
stuff
forgot.
was
Toby.
Geordie. My knowing of him was Geordie and Reading Rainbow, man, right? And then
mine was all 3.
To see because he also follows us on Twitter. So to see his tweets, and especially during pandemic, or during all the protests and stuff, when he would be going off on people, and I was just clutching my pearls, oh, this man is not fooling with nobody, right? So it's just, one, you don't know who you're dealing with until you know who you're dealing with, number one, and number two, just to see that so many people that you may have one view of are so much more multifaceted than you think. So but that's an aside. What I really wanted to say was his documentary is actually going to come to they're going to do a limited theatrical release starting March 17th.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, so it's coming up real soon.
Yeah.
And it's going to be in select AMCs, and then they're going to do a run in New York, some more cities, and then they are going to release the digital. They're going to release it for digital like sometime in April or April 30th.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm saying all that because that's very important, but also because we reported on that, and Mr. Burton himself retweeted us. I think it's at like 10K likes now at this point. So.
Nice.
And what's more important, like, yes, the lights and the glamour of 10K likes, who gives a fuck, right? What's really so amazing about it is the fact that what's really more amazing, at least for me, is that at least a good portion of those people now, they see who, they find us. They're like, well, what is this brand? And who are these people who reported this? And what is this about? And you see like other things that to me matter more, like people who are starting to follow us, people who are tweeting us and saying, hey, when they're about people who are listening and watching our stuff. What did we say? No matter who you think is going to see this, put your stuff out there. If you want to report on something, put it out there, put your take on it, and magic might happen.
There it is.
It's a Reading Rainbow.
Oh, man. All right. So, yeah, thank you to Levar Burton for real, because like you said, I go back with him to Reading Rainbow, to Roots, to Geordie LaForge. I remember the first episode, of Next Generation when it came on, and I was like, oh, my man's on here. Reading Rainbow is up on here.
You really got to keep calling it Reading Rainbow.
I really
You keep
am.
saying that.
I know. I really am. Look, it is Reading Rainbow to me. It always has been. You know what I mean? He was a bro, and there was a rainbow, and it was reading. It's Reading Rainbow.
So ghetto. But anyway.
Look, my most famous tweet is talking about how, it's Game of Thrones. So, House of Dragons. So, yeah.
Is that your really most famous tweet? I got a couple of them in the pocket. You have
a couple.
Your most famous?
House of Dragons.
Couple, I mean like 5.
Yeah, House of Dragons is up there. The Weeknd brought out my mans and them from the Super Bowl when he brought out the dude who looked like mans from Us.
Oh,
that was a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always like just
the most random-ish is
the most random observations.
Yeah, are usually my biggest tweets. Are like and the funniest thing is it's always the things that I'm sitting there cracking up. That House of Dragons, it was 5 a.m. I was drunk out of my mind, and I was just laughing to myself. I was like, they stay trying to say House of Dragon, the House of Dragon, and niggas just running around talking about House of Dragons with no problem. So I tweeted it, and then went to sleep like, and woke up like, oh shit,
woke up to the foolishness.
Yep.
Thank God for sometimes thank God for Twitter, but sometimes I'm like, turn this shit off.
Yeah.
And inebriation, yeah. Benhameen, we got to talk about the elephant in the room for us.
Yes, for DMX.
For DMX. Listen.
Rest in peace.
Yes, we had an experience, Mr. Benhameen. We saw Dune 2. That's number 1, right? And we saw it in what is referred to as 4DX. I don't know what other places in the US have it, but in New York, there's a couple, and it's in Regal Theaters. There's one in Union Square, I think that's been there for a while, and there's one in Times Square. And we were actually invited to the opening of the world's largest 4DX theater. The theater is fire. Okay? It fits almost 300 people. It, got state-of-the-art sound, lights, all of that stuff. To say the least. What 4DX is I realize they're trying to say, like, how you go 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D. So
that shit is 6, 7, 8, 9D.
It's like 10D. So what 4DX is? 4DX is it's a movie-going experience where it's a crossover between Six Flags,
Disney World.
Yes, Six Flags, Disney World, Universal Studios.
And an escape room.
and an escape room. That's actually a really good one. What I mean by that is, as mentioned, there's this and it's a huge, beautiful screen as well. I don't think it's not as big as like an IMAX screen, but it's pretty fucking big.
Yep.
And like I said, really, really well done. Lots of money poured into this room. And the seats, as I mentioned, if you go back to like amusement park, it's like you have stadium style seating, and within each row are like sections of 4 seats each, right? So basically, it's like you, your buddy, and 2 other people can sit in like a little mini section, and then so on and so forth. And as I mentioned, it could fit about 300 people. So these particular seats are special. What's special about them is they're built to fuck you up. And what I mean by that is these seats pitch, roll, rock, shake, shudder, and every
Throb.
And every action you can think of. And when we say every action, we truly mean every action. It's trying to be a full body experience. The entire chair reacts to, and it's programmed, but it reacts to what's going on screen. So there could be times where your entire chair is just vibrating. There could be times where, say, you listen to music and someone has a particularly loud sound system, and that 808 hits and it goes through your body, but it's in your chair. Okay, so you get that for the thumps. You know what I'm saying? Along with that, in the headrest of the chair are 2 streams, or two jetways, I call them, that do rapid fire bursts of air at you. Okay, from behind. That's number 1.
Right in the back.
In the back, there is what they call a tickler. It's some type of plastic tube or something that's like on your leg, and I imagine that this is for especially when you're watching something scary or something's crawling on the ground, that they would try to like tickle your legs, right, to try to give you that sensation that something touched you.
Oh, they hit that in Dune at some point. I caught that.
I couldn't even tell, and I'll explain why later. So there's that. Then there's environmental stuff going on around you. For example, if it's a scene where it's raining or it's wet or something or have you, or some type of moisture is in the air, they have a few different precipitation modes. They have snow, rain, mist, and fog, amongst other things. And when I say like above you are like, they are fans and literal, I don't even know what these delivery systems are called, but they sprinkle water on you in varying degrees, right? And you could get some mist in your face. You know what I'm saying? Pause.
Ain't no pausing. No, let's keep it. I mean, we already talking about the D is on. It's all in the back. It's coming at
everywhere.
you.
Then on the sides, as I mentioned, it's
spraying mist in your face.
It's state-of-the-art lighting system. So there's lighting and flashing and shit going on around you. And the fog is not like in your face. The fog is like at the screen.
Oh yeah, that was ill.
Right. And there's no seatbelts, and there's like
none.
There's a platform at the bottom of the chair, so like you can footrest. So
yeah.
So you're fully enclosed in the seat, right?
Yes.
And the seat is really built for full-grown men. So if you add,
I can't.
Listen, we're gonna
as a full-grown man, I don't know if it's built for me either.
Before we get into how we felt and our experience in the chair, and right now we're just talking about the 4DX experience. Combine everything I just said with the fact that you're watching Dune or any other movie where there's all sorts of crazy shit happening. Think about like if you was watching Jurassic Park and you're sitting in a ride that the seat that is meant to replicate what you're seeing on screen.
And let me say replicate, and even like it was very interesting. We talked to the one of the people at Regal Theaters and people who are the developers, etc. behind the technology.
It's the 4DX executive.
Yeah, one of the 4DX executives, and they said that this is done by, they take it to Korea, and a team over in Korea watches the movie and chooses, what effects to do. And I think me, Chico, and Tatiana all felt that it was a bit egregious during Dune 2. And because maybe this was the opening of the theater, they really wanted to show out. And maybe in a few weeks, once this is going for a few weeks, we felt like the dials were turned up to 11, and maybe they'll pull it back to like 6 or 7 by the time y'all see this, hopefully. I would say that just watching, there was a couple of empty rows of seats at the very front of the screen because, this was a press only, et cetera, things of that nature, people, big names, VIP, all that up in there. So because they had these empty rows, just watching those rows pitch and move was wild and interesting to me.
Yes.
Because it's like, wow, these things are really lifting up, pitching forward, left and right,
I'ma be
shaking.
honest, it was
It
kinda
looked like
violent at
waves.
times.
Yeah, it's like walking away.
It's
And
a
then
little bit violent.
and then for long-time listeners, Chico Leo was in the house with us, and
Yes.
Chico is actually sitting to the right of me and Tatiana, and to my right especially. And so watching Chico being thrown around by this chair was actually one of the most entertaining
It was so
aspects of watching Dune for me.
While he was holding a beer can.
While he was grasping a beer
and when
can.
I say, and I'm for those who are watching this, you should be watching on ForAllNerds on YouTube right now. This was the level of shaking.
Full on. If you've ever seen, Tatiana just showed me some clips that she took of us, and if you ever watched the Dave Chappelle show when they did the Charlie Murphy time traveling episode, and Dave would talk about it because they say every time they'd be like, "All right, action," Charlie would just start shaking in the chair,
going nuts.
They're trying to, replicate what time travel was. And it looked like Chico was being replicated what time travel was. Chico was.
Listen, like I said, I'm going to be honest, and I'm not going to hold you. I had fun with it.
Oh, I had a great time.
Let me be clear. I had fun.
Great time.
At the same time, it was the most OD movie experience I have ever experienced in my entire life.
In my life. And having been to, I remember I went back to Disney World and saw the Muppets 3D back in the day. This was way back in the day. And that was some insane shit like that, where like the chairs would rattle. At one point, the Muppets on screen fired a cannon, and then like in the back of the theater, a hole exploded. So it's like,
oh shit!
Yeah, they did some.
They're really doing like environmental damage.
Yeah, it was wild shit. Like the whole thing. I think a Muppet came out of the screen, and somebody came out in a mask, wearing a animatronic or something. It was that. If you've ever been to Disney World, their 3D even back then was on some next level shit where it was like back then you could reach out and touch the shit. You felt like you saw it. It was that Avatar level shit where you look to the right and you'd see shit floating in the air. So, yeah, this did not have 3D. I would actually really like to see ill-ass.
I would not. Cause
yes. No, you probably can't because your eyes can't adjust to the screen with all that shaking.
No, you're shaking, and quite frankly, is fairly violent. I'm not gonna hold you. It's fairly violent.
Turned up to 11.
I made it a point to mention that these. I mean, even though maybe you may not have been comfortable with it, these seats are really designed for full-grown men.
Yes.
I'm a 5'4" petite woman, so if this is the chair, I'm down here. I'm down here, and as the chair is going off, I'm sinking lower into the chair, right? And that's not good because I also forgot to mention that the chair, you guys ever been to a nail shop and you're in the little massage chairs?
Mm-hmm.
I turn those off every time I get there because they're uncomfortable. So, like that, and maybe for some people they're great. So, in that massage chair, how it does that roll where it be rolling on your back and you feel it like it's like somebody kneading to your, and that might feel delightful, right? That's not what this chair was doing. So,
not at all.
Literally, there are like at least 2 like actuators in the chair where if somebody punches somebody, like gives you a kidney shot,
oh my God,
you get punched in your back. And remember, I told you I'm 5'4", so I'm short, and I'm sinking into the chair. When somebody on screen got punched, I got kidneyed. When somebody on screen got punched in the side, I got 2-pieced. And when I say our bodies were battered by the end of this film,
by today.
Ben, I'm a little right now, but Ben told me he's still feeling it.
I'm achy breaky heart over here. Definitely. And speaking of that, like, no spoiler, but obviously, Dune is filled with action and violence, and especially Dune 2 comparatively to the first one is much more action-packed. Yeah, and there was one scene where a bunch of people are getting murked out and then getting thrown off a cliff. And it became to the point where I was like, please stop throwing these niggas off this cliff because this chair is giving me the business every time one of these niggas drops. And I'm good, dog. After the first two, I was sitting there regretting.
And to Benhameen's point earlier, perhaps it was just turned up a little too hard because
Oh my God.
this was literally the world, the opening premiere of this type of theater. Not the 40X experience. The 40X has been around for a while,
But this theater.
This specific one, the world's largest one. So they picked Dune. They knew Dune was hot shit, and you know, Dune just came out, right? Like, or I don't
Ain't
even know,
even
is it
out
out
yet.
for the masses yet? Not yet for the masses.
No.
But it's been for the reviewers and media and people. So you know, it's gonna be a huge film. That's another thing. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a huge film. But I just was like, y'all gotta turn this shit down because ain't no way. And there were because we were allowed +1, so there were a couple of kids, and they're more like 10 to 12-year-olds maybe.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them. There
were a few kids in there too, and
I bet
they're
they
boys,
loved it.
and maybe you know they loved that shit. They thought that was good. And like I said, I had fun, but I was also hurt by the end of the night.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. You 10, 11, you gonna have a ball. I think at that age, I would have been like, oh my God, this is the illest. Because, like, you gotta remember, at that age, your imagination's so different. Like, you're still, like, movies are still like another world to you. So all that effects is really gonna hit you in a different way.
Yeah, it's gonna hit you different. I will say be very careful if you do a 40X experience.
Yes.
It's a two-headed monster. It's like, it is fun as fuck. And depending on what's going on screen, like especially if it's programmed well, which
oh man,
for I would say 75% of the time I agreed with the programming choices, and other times
50.
I was like, you was 50. Other times I was like, please make it stop.
As a DJ, I was definitely like, nah, fam. There's
maybe 75%
better
of the time,
ways.
or they're right. There's 50 to 75%, right? Of the time it was like, okay, this I could deal with this, and other times I was like, we don't need this violence right now.
I feel like Denis Villeneuve would have disagreed with every choice.
And I'm going to say something about that too. So,
as a filmmaker, I was definitely disagreeing with choices.
It's important to be choosy about what film you see if you're going to see it in a 40X theater, because for also some people we talked to, they said that some of the going on was taking them out of the film because they were so, especially, you know, Chico over there fucking going nuts, you know, he over there on a lowrider, and you know he's spilling, you know, drink all over himself because he can't, you know, he's just timing things wrong. He's taking drinks when things are blowing up, right? Yeah, so it's just not good for him. And it's just like, if you can't, and a lot of stuff you can't necessarily anticipate, like you kind of know, but you also, especially if it's a movie you've never seen before, you're not going to anticipate when they're going to decide, okay, now kidney punch, and here's some rain, and I'm going to pull your chair all the way backwards. Like, be choosy about what film you're going to see, okay? And that could be and sometimes it's on purpose, right? Maybe you want to see a scary film where the jump scares are enhanced, because they look at this as an enhancement. For some people, this is going to be looked at as a fad. As mentioned, it can take you out of the film. I still was able to enjoy the film. I still generally had a good time. I would just be careful about what type of movie I saw.
But they gave us vouchers. I'm definitely going back.
They gave me vouchers, right? I'm going back.
I'm going back. I can't lie.
I'm going to be careful about what movie I choose, because not to say I'm going to, and that's another thing. They don't show every movie in that experience either. No, it's like they purposely choose the biggest ones or the most action-packed ones. So maybe there's nothing to be careful about. Maybe every movie you go to is going to be fucking you up. I don't know.
What about Deadpool versus Wolverine this summer? Come on, fam. Lituation right there.
I mean, that shit might be litty. I
might have to do it.
That might be litty. I don't know.
Those vouchers are good for any movie, I think. I might have to do it.
All I say is, if you're not healthy in the body, you may not want to go do this. You got to be careful. Like all jokes aside, you got to be careful on this. It's not because the way the seats are, like, it's like bucket seats too. So you're not going to get thrown out of the seat, but it's just like, be careful how you time shit. Like, if you got to go to the bathroom, just don't wait until they pop it off on screen, because your ass is grass. I'm telling you. I would
not attempt to get out of that seat while I was moving.
Hey, make sure it's a quiet scene where nothing is happening, then you could get up. I remember you was getting up and you were timing it pretty fucking well, where you were like, okay, now.
They chilling. I was like, okay.
That shit would have boxed you on the way
I was like, there's no, indication of violence about to happen right now. All right, now I'm making
Yeah. And I mentioned earlier, I wanted to bring that back up about how they decide to program it, because as you mentioned, the executive told us, because that was my question to him. The executive told us that, yes, they take the film to their team in Korea. The team in Korea watches the film. decides what elements goes where, and then then I was about to ask, okay, but who checks that shit? They do a QC, a quality control, with the studio. I'm making a point to say the studio because the studio is not the director, right? So Warner Brothers and everyone else who's in charge of this, they could get a say and say, yeah, this is cool, do all that shit. I don't know if Denis Villeneuve would approve, as you mentioned, of how this went.
Not at all.
Like,
Not at all.
And for all you know, maybe he did, maybe he knew, but I don't know.
Either he just really didn't care because he's like, whatever, you know, they're gonna do it either way.
He's not. He doesn't have a say, right? The
Yeah,
studios can do what they want.
yeah. So I feel like he just like, oh fuck it.
They can make a fucking theme park right out of it. They want, which they probably will.
There it is, which they will. Yeah,
So-
Dune is definitely gonna be a theme park
Yeah.
at some point.
So all that to say, the 4DX experience, go at your own risk.
Mhm.
It is and can be very fun. I also just be mindful of what you're getting yourself into.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, now the other elephant in the room that we gotta talk about
Yes.
is Dune 2.
Dune 2.
Dune.
Overall thoughts, Ben, before we get into details.
All right, overall thoughts, enjoyed it. I was a reluctant fan of the first Dune, let's say. I've never actually seen the original Dune film all the way through. I've watched
there
it
was
in
original
pieces.
film?
Oh hell yeah, David Bowie,
Oh.
I think, a bunch of other it's ill. And this one, especially the first one, like some of the shots are straight, original film redone. Just, they did the same exact shots, etc. So there's actually a video where people will do a comparison, and that's really did make me. And I'm not a fan of Blade Runner. Dennis's film he did before this, the Blade Runner 2049. I really disliked it for a lot of reasons. I don't really want to get into it. That's different. So I didn't even see the first Dune until it came to HBO Max, I think.
Okay.
I really thoroughly enjoyed it when it was on HBO Max. So I thought it was a great film. I just loved the pacing of it for the most part. That there's some issues that I felt came up in the first one that come up in the second one again. And I liked Timothy more than I thought I would, and I really enjoyed all the other people. Like Jason Momoa, I think that's one of his best performances is in the first Dune.
It is.
Yeah, I really enjoyed just
Even
the
though he's
whole
playing
world, the look, everything about it was really dope.
Yeah.
This one, Dune 2, I'm not sure if I enjoyed more than the first one, but I really still overall thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's going to be one of the big, it's dropping tomorrow, so it's not really summer, it's about spring, but this is the summer season now, as movies and Hollywood counts it. So I think it's going to be one of the big, huge hits of the summer. It delivered on the things that I wanted. I wanted more worm action because I just love the worm so much. But it also had some epic, worm moments. Zendaya, obviously, we'll talk about that more. That's more, get into it. But, a lot of the movie rests on her shoulders to me. And I think she did an incredible job with it. I thought that their relationship could have used a little bit more defining. And that's what I will say. I felt like there was, let's get into more nitty gritty.
Let me get my overall. So I enjoyed Dune 2, and I actually enjoyed it more than Dune 1. Dune 2 is much faster. It is much more action focused. And I feel like, particularly for Timothée, because I actually did not like his character much, if at all, in the first Dune. I actually started liking him a bit more. And
I liked him less, but go on.
Okay, and I saw the vision. And I had recently watched Dune 1. I watched it on Netflix. And while I thought it was a good film, I had my misgivings. And there was a few things. The characterization I mentioned, I didn't like Timothée that much, and more so because of what he's supposed to represent and how he is represented, how that character is represented specifically. Paul
Atreides.
Yeah, Paul Atreides. I don't like contrived Masonic type of characters where it's just like they are the one, they are the Neo
one.
and the chosen like. And I understand there's stories the world over that follow that and in every type of medium you could think of, but it's just for me it was just painfully contrived. And again, I don't know, maybe it could just be the way it was expressed on screen, but I was just like, and also it's on purpose, right? You're not necessarily supposed to like him, right? You're not supposed to believe that he is this guy, right?
Yep.
But I still felt it felt fraud to me from the beginning, and I just didn't vibe with it. And again, I'm still talking about the first one. The fight scenes were obviously slow, like where I'm just like, this doesn't look good. So
also by intention. There.
It looked highly choreographed, and if it was by intention, it didn't look good. Not for me.
Okay, yeah. Well, like the way that their shielding works is you can only get through it by being slow. That's the way their hand-to-hand system. Like when they turn on those shields, you can't slash through it. You have to stab through it slowly, or cut through it slowly.
And they repeat that a few times. Like you see artillery going through the shield slowly.
Yeah.
The problem with that for me is when you're watching it on screen and you could just say, oh, you're just not used to, when you're used to action, if I'm going to roundhouse kick you, I'm not going at half speed.
Yeah.
I'm going full fucking speed. It would be different if the fighting style was slower to match that type of fight. I just felt like they were still using high velocity fighting styles, but then had to think about this rule of you got to go slow because of the shields. When you slow down high velocity type of movements, they look slow. Okay,
let's still getting into the weeds of it. So overall,
it just wasn't my thing. So so for one, I had my misgivings, but I said, okay, maybe they'll fix this, and to me they did. And two, they much more it was much faster. The story itself was much faster. There weren't for me any really big lows. There was huge lows in the first one that way have been hard for people to get through, which is what I keep hearing over and over again, particularly the first half of the film. For Dune 2, I just thought it just went straight through. And it was almost 2 hours, but it was a little longer. It was
Dune 1 was almost 3.
Dune 1 is 2 hours 35. This one is 2 hours 46.
Yeah.
So it just didn't feel as long as the first one, which is interesting, even though it technically is longer. So
I thought this one felt longer to me. And I understand why people think the first one is slow, but when I rewatched it the other day on Netflix as well, I was like, damn, this movie jumps right into it. Like these niggas get to the planet, and within that quick minute, niggas trying to be assassinated, and then the niggas invade, and the movie's over. It's like it don't really
story, but there's a lot of long shots and cinematography and looks happening before you get to those story points.
I just really enjoyed that, I think. Because I think that was the thing, like, that might have been what I was missing from this film was the Oscar Isaac. I really love the mother, Jessica. That's what's the actress's name who plays Jean Bezeret? I loved her in the first one. I thought she was, quite good in this one as well. But I think I was missing Oscar Isaac and as well, obviously, Jason Momoa, who both, take L's in the first one. Spoiler.
Yeah. To me, like I said, it was probably one of Jason's best roles, but to me, he was playing himself, or he
as always
playing the same role he always generally plays. So I didn't think anything too remarkable about it. But if you want to talk about, for me, remarkable, Zendaya.
Oh, yeah.
Zendaya's Chani, and especially in this film, the way she carries like
Rebecca Ferguson. Sorry,
she's the one to me. Like the way that Zendaya is just a fantastic actress anyway. But the way that she's able to show the dynamicism of Chani and how Chani develops throughout her relationship with Paul and with everybody around her and the changing world around her, like and as mentioned, Zendaya knows how to emote. So when Zendaya is fucking pissed, Zendaya is fucking pissed. When she's sad, when she's happy, whatever, you vibe with it because you believe her. You believe what she's saying. And I was so impressed with her because this is Zendaya, the action star too. Zendaya was throwing hands.
Yes.
There was a point where I was like, oh shit. Like I yelled out, damn, Zendaya, go get it. Like, because Zendaya for me at that moment, she was indistinguishable from a double. Like, in terms of an action double that's, coming in to stand in and do all the hard scenes. Like, as far as I know, that was her that whole shot.
Let's hope so, because it was definitely one of the things where they could have flipped it, either way, like, because it could have been.
They could have. But if it was her, you fucking did that.
And it was so dope to me, too, because that shot is a flip of the shot that they did in the first film when it was Timothy, and it was a reveal to be Timothy, and then it was like the reveal to be her. I was like, oh, yeah. I was screaming right alongside you, so that was really dope. Yeah.
I liked Paul Atreides, or the thought of what he's supposed to represent. I liked it more, but I still didn't necessarily like that character still. I liked him more than I did the first time.
And since we're getting into it now, I would say, that's the thing. Like, that's one of my big reluctances to see the first film. Other than that, I thought Blade Runner was really misogynistic, and so it really made me feel weird about Dennis's whole affair or whatever it is. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word. Filmography, basically. So, and the other side of it was Dune, from the book, draws liberally from Arabic culture, from the Arab world. It's just ridiculous. And when they filmed this film, there's not a lot of people from that culture working on it. Obviously Dennis is French, I think, and white, and pretty much most of the cast and crew were the same. And even in this film, there's a lot of, brown people in the background, and then a lot of, besides Zendaya,
and Denise is Canadian, but he's French Canadian, so.
Yeah, white. And besides Zendaya, I'm trying to think, a bunch of other white people. And as me and Tatiana mentioned, even in the first Dune, all the brown people get murdered off. My man Janice, Shorty, who's Jamis, who's Between Two Worlds, Jason Momoa.
The Judge of Change.
Yeah, the Judge of Change. So it was kind of like, this is kind of, funny style. And that was, like I said, it's kind of the same thing I felt about Blade Runner, was like a lot of women, a lot of violence against women for just no reason. So that was one thing that I was kind of reluctant to see. But then what I did enjoy about the first one, and I thought that they did double down on it, but I'll get to why it annoyed me in this one, was the fact that he is a false messiah. And that Gene Bezeret and other people have been planning this religion among people for hundreds of years to, have this idea so they can control people. And that's really said in this film. If you get people to believe in anything, you can get them to, follow you. If you say there's a Messiah coming, they'll wait for a Messiah, which was a real, that was a real hard one to deliver in this film.
Yeah, that was hard. The Bene Gesserit.
Yeah, the Bene Gesserit. Yeah, so I thought that was dope. But what annoyed me in this film was Timothy, when, like, at certain points when his character is like, I'm the man, basically. It was like, nah, dude, I don't know. No, one of these people should step up and slap the shit out of you.
That's what I mean. I'm like, I don't like that.
No, and
you're not supposed to, but I didn't like that.
And it really depends on how they go with the third film. But at this point, I still feel that most people are just trying to lean into the idea that Timothy is the hero of this story. Or Timothy's character, Paul Atreides, which he definitely is not. Like, as it's not spoilers for this Dune is known. It's a tragic story. It's about a dude who knows that by him becoming the leader of these people and everything, he's going to form a cult, and it's going to cause untold horror throughout the galaxy. Yeah. And he can't do nothing to stop it. It's like he's being fated to it. And something else you said about Dune and this whole, with that hero and the whole idea of the one, that's what people don't remember, is Dune is so influential on everything. But because it comes after, or for the public consciousness, it comes after everything, people are like, oh, you're just biting Star Wars, you're biting this, you're biting that.
Apparently it was first.
It's the very first. Star Wars is biting Dune. I even had to realize that not biting, but there's elements of Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze that are influenced by Dune. I realized that when I was watching the movie the other day. I was like, wow, there we go. The influence is strong. And it is what it is. That's what I'm saying. Dune is so highly influential that a lot of these tropes that come from it, it's the originator of them.
Yeah, and I had to learn about that too, because I didn't know anything. We've talked about Dune before many times, because you talked about not so much of the books, but the fact that you know the story so much. And I didn't know anything about Dune. And, so this is my first foray into it. And now, with the understanding that it was first, like, it is like monumental in terms of the sci-fi components,
Oh
right?
yeah. I
And
mean, on everything
the,
from Star Wars to Warhammer 40K to
yeah,
Blade Runner to
yeah.
everything. It's just so influential on it.
Yeah, and I liked and that's one of the things that I did enjoy because I love sci-fi. So I did
Mm-hmm.
enjoy that about film 1 and film 2, the sci-fi element. So the tech, obviously, right? Grand Duchess, the
Mm-hmm.
the pseudoscience, the magic science, all of
Yep.
that stuff, the spacefaring a part of it, the tools that people were using, like as you mentioned, the personal shields, the ship shields,
Mm-hmm.
the artillery that was used, the type of weaponry that was used, tools for war, tools for just living. Like
Mm-hmm.
the type of systems that the Fremen uses, like
Mm-hmm.
that shit is insane. Like everything about like from their suits to everything that they use to survive in the desert. Like I just thought like it was so inventive, right? Just from a like who thinks of that shit,
World
right?
building.
Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
right, right, and the world building behind it, and obviously like the the bestiary, like we talked about
Mm-hmm.
the worms and shit like that. Like everything about it's insane, and then the ships, fucking the ships, like the fucking helicopter type dragonfly ships,
Mm-hmm.
the ships that all the ships look like bugs.
Orthocopter, I think is what it is. Yeah.
The orthocopter, and they call it a
Orthocopter.
thopter.
Yeah, thopter.
Orthocopter, right? And I was like, I thought it was like in one of Da Vinci's, like when he was drawing like
Mm-hmm.
the helicopter,
Flying machines.
it looked
Yeah,
like
Da Vinci
this,
flying
right?
machines. Yep.
And just that idea of like, and again, just like simple, it's like you said, it sounds like other later series and fandoms actually borrowed from Dune, right? Like,
yes.
Like that idea of all of the ships looking like bugs.
I mean, a desert planet.
The
Tatooine.
desert planet.
Like,
Borg, stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
everything. Like the Borg look like fucking Batista's people.
The Harkonnens, yeah.
The Harkonnens, yeah, I keep calling him Batista's people. And actually I kept calling him Drax every time he was on screen.
Yeah. No, white Drax and bald white Elvis for all day for me. Look,
Yeah.
bald white Elvis.
It looks like Drax in this. Like he's just Drax in a black suit. That's all.
Yeah. White Drax
and funny or nice. That's all.
And bald white, not at all.
Not all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just it is a monumental film. It is a big film. And just as far as how I felt or just the storyline of 2, like it wasn't slow. It gave you a lot of action and this is separating it from the 4DX experience we were in. Just what we saw was pretty incredible. I will say that.
Yes.
Was it perfect? No. There were still concerns about, again, how we felt about Paul and some of the dialogue for me. That idea of that a lot of this is cribbed from Middle Eastern cultures, like damn near all of it. So I was just like, I don't know how I felt about that. That was also kind of, a thing. It didn't take me out of the film, but I did keep thinking about that. Like everything they're doing from the language to how they're working and living, it's straight from different Arabic cultures. So
yeah. Like you said, it's not a perfect film by any means. I definitely thoroughly enjoyed it. I do want to see it again. I want to see it on the big screen because it's one of these films where I'm like, wow, there was some imagery and some shots that I just need to see again on a big screen.
It looks fantastic.
It looks absolutely. I mean, Dennis has always delivered on that. That's something I will never take away from this man.
His visuals are on point. See it on a big screen. If you can't, that's okay. But if you can, see it on a big screen.
Yeah, as big as possible. Like, goddamn, some of them shots with the worms when they're riding them, some of the battles in the desert, like the way the Freemen, their way they fight are so ill. That it was definitely very dope. Problems that I did have with this film were, again, pacing and what we choose to focus on. Bald white Elvis, Austin Butler, who plays Fade Rathu Harkonnen. I'm sure a lot of this is from the books. Like I said, I know the overall main story of the books. I don't know it's every little detail. So his character just felt like when somebody's introduced and it's like, here's the new big bad for the season. So they have to, here's a great one. Because I get to reference one of my favorite shows, Power Raising Kanan. For those who've been watching the latest season, the character of Ronnie, who I fucking hated all season, gets introduced at the beginning of this season. And as soon as Ronnie's introduced, he has to take out the big bad of the last season. So Ronnie comes in and takes out the big bad of the last season, and it just felt contrived to me. Because it was like, no, Ronnie, you're a cornball who walks around in the same fucking jacket all season. I don't find you terrifying. I find you annoying. And that's how I found Bald White Elvis. I never found him terrifying like I found White Drax in the first film.
Yeah.
I found him annoying. And it was like
White Drax was terrifying until he wasn't, right? Well, not terrifying. He was a scary individual. He was more brooding and like, oh, this man is unhinged.
Yeah.
Until he wasn't, right? And this one,
but
to
he
your point,
wasn't.
was just violence
he got jobbed, in wrestling parlance. He got jobbed in this film.
He got big time job in the film.
Yeah, and he was terrifying up until they jobbed him.
Right,
and
that's what I mean. Like, but yeah, the Fade Rotha, that character, it was just violence for violence sake, and he didn't serve any purpose besides like big bad of the week, and then so.
And that goes back to the pacing of this film, which like it was weird because it's like they did the exact same pacing for the first film. There's a big battle, and then it ends with another smaller, more personal fight. But while that personal fight with Janice in the first film was more like, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, not knowing the story. This one, you know what's going to happen because it's like, this nigga ain't going to, like, this nigga whole crew already done up. Like, nigga, it's over, fam. Like, either way, and you ain't going to win this. Like, we already know, like, one of you is not the hero of the story, dog.
One of you not making out of here alive.
Yeah, and we know who's the hero of the story. Pretty Paul is not going down, fam. Like, so it just felt. I get that might be from the books, but I just felt like there had to be a better way to do that. And maybe it's also because I just really was annoyed by this nigga by that point. So I'm just like, please get rid of Bald White Elvis. Like, please done him off. I just don't believe it. I haven't believed it from the moment he stepped on screen. And that's another, like I said, a lot of this shit's dedicated to this dude that I felt like could have been dedicated to the love story of Paul and Chani, because I didn't believe some of that because it's so rushed.
Well, and that was right. I was just about to say, in terms of the pacing, there are several time jumps during the second thing that it's a bit off-putting. It's just like, whoa, why? How did we get there?
Yes.
In fact, there was a scene, and obviously I'm not going to say anything about specifics, but there was a scene where someone in our theater was like, wait, what? Just like, you can tell that they were just so confused, and they just vocalized what we were all thinking. And we were sitting there, and literally the entire theater bust out laughing because we all like,
felt them.
How? Like, yeah, we're with you.
Yeah.
How did we get here?
Wait, what?
We went from point A to point J. What happened to the in between? And it was some choices made in the cutting of the time jumps that just did not make it it wasn't a clear jump, and it just wasn't apparent of how people got there. And I don't mean into physical places. You got fast travel. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about relationships and things that happen between people, and maybe conversations that were probably said, but that got clipped. And now we missed the whole thing, and we don't know what happened between folks, right? So, then you would see a scene where something completely opposite to what these characters would happen, and you're like, where was that in between point? So, some questions on the pacing.
Yeah, definitely some questions on the pacing, but overall, I thought it was very solid. Even with my questions on the pacing, I can't be mad at that at all. It was definitely a solid ass joint. Did what it needed to do. The action was crazy. It leaves you, definitely looking for a part 3. And I think that it's going to be, super successful enough where we're going to get the part 3 of it and get the completion of the story. Because even though their story of Dune goes on much further than what a part 3 would be able to encompass, I just do not see them going past where part 3 ends, because the story of Dune gets utterly insane, as if it's not already.
If this makes $1 billion?
I know. You know what? That's the thing. I would like to see it, because I would like to see them go down that road of utterly of batshit insane where this franchise goes. So it would take part 3 making $1 billion as well. So
yeah. I did also, just from a more like intellectual standpoint, I did enjoy the challenging of like religion and
Yes.
the politics behind lots of organized religion and the people who make it, and as you said, the false prophets and all this stuff, and how it's used for controlling populaces and things like that, and how it affects people who have true faith and then people who don't have faith, and what does that mean? The infighting between those two groups, and that's very interesting. It's like an indictment on that whole thing, and
yes,
it's done in the form of a space opera, right? So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and that's something that goes back to Dune has always been about that, the idea of a false messiah. That's something from the book. So I thought that was very dope. And like I said, that's what really made me like the first film, when I saw that Dennis wasn't shying away from that. And I think that is even more so said in this film. But I'm just not, it's one of those things, I've talked about this before. One time I made a student film, and I was really trying to talk about the way that, Black people might smoke and drink a little too much. And my professor at Howard was like, yeah, but you made smoking and drinking looking so good. So why would people not want to smoke and drink when they watch your film? And that's the same thing I feel here. It's like, even though he's supposed to be the false prophet, they make him look so pretty and good and so heroic, and, he's the badass and all this shit. Like, when people watch this film, I don't think they're going to come away thinking he's the false prophet or what he's doing is wrong. I think they're going to come away like, yeah, let's see Paul Atreides take over the universe.
They said this was going to happen, and it happened.
Yeah.
He must be him. Word is Stilgar, right?
Yep.
So, and that was my man's body. Javier Bardem is unintentionally hilarious.
Oh my God, thank you. All day I was sitting there trying to remember who played Stilgar, because
Javier
he's so...
Bardem. Because I know that voice.
Yeah, and I do know it, but I just could not, because it's Stilgar. He so inhabits that character that I just could not get past Stilgar. And I was like, oh yeah, it's Javier Bardem killing it as Stilgar.
Yeah, and really, the whole cast is really good. Like, generally speaking,
Rebecca Ferguson, let me shout out again.
I fuck with the whole cast.
I fuck with her tough from Mission Impossible. And I fucked with her tough in the first film, when she was telling niggas to kill themselves and shit with that voice.
I think that's the best. When we first sat down, you started laughing.
Kill yourself. That voice, I fucking love when she puts that voice on. That shit is amazing.
Yeah.
Slit his throat. Right?
Finish that.
Yeah, that shit is so cold-blooded. So I loved her. I loved her in this one. Christopher Walken as the Emperor
I laughed, again, unintentionally hilarious. Every time he showed up, I'm like, this is Christopher Walken being Christopher Walken wearing Emperor clothing, right? Like,
I felt like they kept cutting away.
He was talking like himself.
Yeah, and I felt like they kept cutting away so that they wouldn't give you the full Walken, so it's like that way.
He was going full Walken in this, and that's why I'm like, and it was when
I thought he was trying not to.
And that's the problem. It was supposed to be the most. It was supposed to be the most like serious moments, and it would be full Walken, and it's like those are two incongruent things. You can't have that. Just one thing I wanted to say that I also enjoyed about this film. Like, I enjoyed about the first, but I think it was even more so enhanced. The cinematography and the effects, and the photography that the philosophy of the photography of the film, meaning like how they decide to light things, the color. The color, what do they call it? Not color scheme, but the
color grading.
Like all of that stuff. Like, everything about it, like
the color scheme.
Everything about those approaches, depending on where you were, like what planet they were, what group of people they were with, it was so well done because it was very deeply thought through. You can tell, and like it fit within the context of, again, that culture of the people or whatever the scene was, right? And it was some shit that I like, the way that they showed it, I ain't never seen before. Like, there's a scene on the Harkonnen, how you pronounce it? The Harkonnen planet where, like, they're having a celebration, and the way that they showed this celebration happening and the way their planet looks when they're all outside is completely different than what you see elsewhere. And we talked about it earlier. You see the influences of other sci-fi characters and themes from this. So it was crazy. It was crazy. And I don't know, was that the way the shit looked, was that direct from the book and Denise just translated it, or did he kind of mix it up?
Well, I know Arrakis and Iraqi and all that shit is, obviously from the book The Sand Planet. I'm not sure how the Harkonnens because in the original Dune film, they're dressed similarly, so I think that is from it. Because they always wear that blackish armor that's like very ornate and, gothic type shit. So I think that is from the book, that the Harkonnens are that type of vibe.
gothic mixed with Nazis type of thing.
Yeah,
It was
I think
crazy.
And once again, that, as you see, the Empire, it's that
Yes.
same thing. Darth Vader is influenced by the Harkonnens. All this type of stuff comes up again and again. I was even thinking about Thor: Love and Thunder. As much as I dislike it, there's that scene where they get into that black and white ish, and I was wondering if that was influenced by this.
Oh.
If it did come from the book, if it does come from the book,
Yeah.
then definitely that's influenced because
I mean, it's just some beautiful things like I just don't want to reveal because like when you guys see it, it's like, oh shit, the way that they executed
that was all in the trailer
phenomenal.
though. That's been shown like the
Okay.
okay,
but
Black
like
White
they know
Elvis.
why it looks like that. Like they explain literally in the announcement, they explain why that place looks like that. So I don't know if you remember.
I might have missed that, but
Yeah.
no, that's in the bald white Elvis is all in the trailer in the gladiator pit. So that's all been shown.
Elvis though,
because that's what I saw.
Well,
Elvis.
I know but
and like that's the thing they said. Austin Butler had to go to like a therapist to stop doing the Elvis voice.
Really?
Yeah, because
he's a method actor, huh?
Oh man, he was doing the Elvis voice everywhere. Like at award shows and shit, he'd still be doing the Elvis voice.
They had to shake him out of that.
Yeah, they had to shake him out of it. So
Okay.
I don't want to know what they had to do to shake him out of this one.
Ben,
slap that nigga around? Somebody needed to.
Slap the show. Ben, would you recommend Dune 2?
Oh hell yeah! I mean, come on. This is like it's like I say, kicking off the summer season. This is definitely gonna be one of the best, I would say, movies of the summer. Definitely, easily. Like for a big popcorn action flick, you can't do much better than this. This is some shit.
Yeah, I have to absolutely agree. I would definitely recommend it. I would actually see it again.
Yeah.
A couple of people, we ran to a couple of friends while we were there, and this was their like second, a couple of them maybe third viewing, or they were gonna see it like today or tomorrow. So
okay.
It's as I just know it's gonna be a huge movie, it's a huge film that's in the box office when it's released, and it's gonna be worth it. It's worth your time, it's worth the effort, and I am looking forward to part 3 for sure.
Yeah, and I've talked about this before on the show. Like, I have this fascination and fear of like kaiju-sized monsters. Like, I don't know. It's something that's all my life. It's just gargantuan-sized creatures just weird me out, and so the worms really weird me out in a way. But they also, I have that same respect and feel that the Freemen have of them. That these are some godlike creatures. That this is something else, and I love the way that they're portrayed in this film, and you get that feeling of just, it's like when you played Shadow of the Colossus. That feeling of these are just some great beasts, something, just some otherworldly-ish, and God, I love that, man. No, I love the way those things are, like, yeah. Oof.
Yeah. So happy about that. I'm glad we got that experience. Shout out to 40X.
Yes. And shout out to Dune too.
My massage bill is coming.
Right up. All right, and with that, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more ForAllNerds.
This is Yvonne Chapman. I play Javon on Kung Fu's CW. When I'm not on set, I am listening to ForAllNerds.
This is Niambi. When I'm not busy doing the acting thing, the writing, drawing, illustrating, I'm listening to ForAllNerds.
This is Shannon Houston, writer on HBO's Lovecraft Country, and you are listening to ForAllNerds.
This is Malcolm Spellman, head writer, Falcon and Winter Soldier. You are listening to ForAllNerds.
It's Ihoma, writer for Lovecraft Country. When I am not creating, I am listening to ForAllNerds.
My name is Damon Lindelof. I'm one of the writers of Watchmen, The Leftovers, Lost. And when I am not sheltering in place, washing my hands, and sheltering from squid, I am listening to ForAllNerds.
This is Kate Herron. I'm the director of Loki, and you are listening to ForAllNerds.
And what's up, y'all, and welcome back to this episode of the ForAllNerds show. As always, thank you very much for everyone who's hit that like, that subscribe button on all the different platforms like YouTube, Twitter, don't matter where. Hit that follow, hit that like. I meant Twitter, but I really meant Twitch, because that's what you watch us on, twitch.tv/ForAllNerds, or hit the YouTube, the follow, the subscribe. so you can see us all in our glorious beauty. Tatiana got her new setup, everything looking crisp. She's glistening, the lights, sun looking good, looking like she got the melanin popping. You know
As
what I mean?
always.
As always. That's right. So make sure you hit that follow on all the different platforms, and thank you for all the love. All right, now we got to talk about something like I already mentioned. One of the greatest shows on TV right now, Power, Raising Kanan. Well, yeah, Raising Kanan, but then Power Ghost is coming back soon. I'm not really a fan of BMF. I can't get into
I was going to
that
ask you, do you like it? It just got renewed for season 4.
It's coming back like this week, I think, but it's just so dark, fam. It's like Power is dark in a way, but it's goofy dark to me. It's like soap opera dark. While BMF feels like The Wire dark at points, and it ain't The Wire, so I'm not, sorry, no shots, but The Wire is The Wire, and everything else is, way below it, and so I'm uninterested in that one. Right? I watched the first season, and I thought that was good. I doubt I come back to it. So anyway, since I did mention one of the greatest shows on television, I got to mention one of the other greatest shows on television right now, Love is Blind on Netflix.
Listen, I told you I am not a reality, with the exception of like Housewives. I'm not a reality person.
It's so funny when you say that because you're like, with the exception of like 3 shows,
No, 2. It was only 2. I only watched ones with the black women, but but no, like I mean, I just don't tend to latch on to a lot of these shows. But like, it's like everyone I know is watching this. What is Love is Blind about?
Love is Blind is about a bunch of sociopaths who decide to be on this reality show where they claim that they're doing it to find marriage and the love of their life, but most of them are on there to find fame and wealth.
Of course.
Yeah,
but is
like
that what it is? But what is the Love is Blind part? Like
the Love is Blind
double
concept is that all these characters get together and are put into what they call pods and talk to each other and go on dates. Well, it's so weird how they call it dates. They just sitting in a pod. They basically sit in a room.
Are they typing to each other?
No, they're talking to each other through a wall so they can't see each other.
Okay.
But you can talk to each other. I'm sure they're mic'd up or whatever so they can hear each other as they talk to each other. And they sit there and have drinks and, talk to each other. And usually, they'll have like questions they want to ask the other person. And then they pair off in these pods over and over again with different people until one person pops the question unseen, sight unseen. You're like, I want to marry you. And then they get to meet each other. And then it devolves into drama after that because, of course, like any reality show, they start bringing in all kind of twists and turns. Like, they meet in person and they're like, oh, damn, this person's busted. I was
going to say, when they say they want to get married, do they have to do it? Or
no.
Okay.
No, people will see each other and be like, nah, fam, this ain't working.
Never mind.
Or people will see each other and be like, oh, because after they all see each other, and then they'll bring each other out in groups and they all meet. And like all the women have already met and all the men have already met. Because all the men, stay in one house, all the women stay in one house. Right. So they all know each other and they all know like, oh, Shorty was interested in that dude, because they'll hear the names and stuff like that. And then, there's competition where 2 shorties will be feeling one dude through the wall. And then, 2 dudes will be feeling one shorty through the wall, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all that type of shit going on. And then when they all come together, sometimes, people will switch off and like, nah, I was very feeling shorty. And then,
right. It's like, nah, I see man's not my type.
And then that's the bigger drama. Like even right now on one of my favorite couples is these 2 white people who are just obviously not meant for each other. And Shorty is like, I don't really know anybody. I think he's Jimmy. I don't know. Some of these people's names will just escape me. But Shorty is the clingy one, as she's known on the internet now. And she's just wild. Like all these people are sociopaths and all have issues. But hers are just so at the forefront. And so it just creates such compelling drama. And I once again have to say, because people are like, I remember, I'm doing this Me a Couple every week where people are like, oh, you were hating on Power. No, I wasn't really hating on Power. I don't think anybody really said that. I just felt bad about it. But I do want to congratulate the producers and writers of Love is Blind because they are creating compelling drama amazingly. Like, and having to work with, people who aren't really actors and then getting them to follow the script that you've obviously created is amazing.
Yeah. And did something like particular happen this week where you were just like, this is fucking awesome? I mean, you clearly the whole thing is a masterclass apparently, but
the shorty with What really got me this week is I cannot remember dude's name, but he has this Klingon woman, and he really stood on business. No, he didn't. He folded yet again. What am I talking about? For a second, he stood on business, and then he folded because Shorty is just she's out of her mind. My man went out for a drink for an hour, literally an hour, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you was just on an hour," and she bugged out on this man. Talk about how I don't want to be married to someone who likes to party like that. And etc. And you lied to me, and you told me one thing, you told me you didn't, because he seemed to have told her that he's very basic and he don't like going out or any of that shit. But oh wow, I mean, no, there was
So
so
the
much,
one time he do, it's a problem.
there's so much wild shit that comes out this week. What am I talking about? Because Shorty, the same dude, has two homegirls who are like his best friends, and on camera, the girl he's supposed to marry is like, "You fucked her," and he's like, "Yo, I told you that off camera." And so he basically put, she put that woman's business out there. So wild. So I know her Instagram is blowing up this week because she's like, "You fucked her," and all this stuff. I mean, he did fuck her. But, he told her that off camera. He's like, "It was a one-time thing. I smashed my homegirl. It only happened once." And, it's probably a bold-faced lie, but, it sounds good.
This is on Netflix?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like Netflix is winning right now when it comes to
pure trash.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you know what I mean by trash. Like, like they're winning with Mia Culpa, which everybody watching, the Tyler Perry.
But people aren't watching Mia Culpa because it's Kelly Rowland and Trevante. Like that, they're not watching because it's a great story. They're watching because of them two.
Well, I'm not sure that Love is Blind is a great story, but it's entertaining.
It's reality TV, and it's filled with who you said. It's people who want to be famous and people who want to play the game, right?
And they're attractive people, so that helps.
Yeah. But there's also things that are, creative, like the Vince Staples show.
Yes. Which, once again, we need to bring up because Netflix is winning with the Vince Staples show. I've now watched, I think I have 2 episodes left. It's only 5 of them, I think. Shit, I might only have 1 episode left for that matter. And I got up to the family reunion episode for those who've seen it, which is, I thought it definitely has one of my favorite lines of dialogue of the year. I just don't understand it. Why are we black? It's just the line was great. The delivery was great. The circumstances that led up to that line are so great. And that episode, it just had, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but there's just so many, it's where it gets to be the most Atlanta of it. And actually, I want to talk about Atlanta real quick because I was watching the Joe Budden show this week, and I didn't realize that they were hating on Atlanta really. Joe has actually never seen Atlanta at all, but some of the other cast members.
I'll say, how do you hate on it? You've never seen it.
Well, he didn't. No, he wanted to make that clear that he doesn't hate on it because he's never seen it. Okay. But some of the other cast members started hating on it, and they said they stopped watching it in season 3 and 4. And I know a lot of people were like that, and they felt like it got away from what Atlanta started as or whatever. And I just feel like
what are you talking about? Away from the whole Paperboy storyline?
I guess I don't know, but
that's the only thing that changed. Like it was random. What do you mean?
It was always random, and I hope people who did fall off, if you're one of the listeners of our show, please go back and rewatch it because I just think Atlanta over its 4 seasons is in the top 5 television ever created. I just think it's. We don't get to see things like that. You don't get to see things that take risks like that don't do what you've been seeing over and over again, and that especially involve black people behind it.
Right.
And I just think that it's so brilliant. And I think that the Vince Staples show is following in the footsteps of that. And I think that's great that we get to see black people doing shows like this that are surreal, that aren't the same thing every week, that it might take a completely different, go off on a tangent that has nothing to do with the main characters of the show. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's imaginative. I mean, it's the things that I liked. Like my favorite show that still kills me to this day that got canceled. Southside. Southside was on. I think it was on Max or HBO. It was one or the other. So, it was probably HBO. And it was just like it's so funny. Like it wasn't like the typical comedy that you see. It was just like, yes, it was based on the South Side of Chicago, but it was just some random stuff just fucking happening that was just good comedy, and it was done from the perspective and from the lens of black people, and it just made so much sense in that. Like I said, it was just imaginative, and it followed along on the layers of humor that I know, like my friends to know and myself and other people. So it was just like, I feel like every time I get something like that, they want to fucking cancel it or they not want to extend it. And it's like it's so hard to see every facet of yourself in entertainment as a Black American. It is so fucking hard. When you finally get there, then all of a sudden they axe everything. And it just reminds me of like that big lamentation that happened a couple months ago where people were just like, we can't have fucking nothing. Because like literally what we consider is like the DEI, the anti-DEI wave came and wiped out every fucking thing. It was like a fucking snap happened and everything that had anything to do with Black people that was not Tyler Perry based got canceled.
And that, that's the thing. Like you say, like as much as I enjoy the Power universe, and shout out to Rodimus Prime.
I mean, they survived, but they survived because of 50. And that's cool and that's fine.
And beyond surviving because of 50, they also survived because they, are telling ghetto tales, which will always have an audience. And like, shout out to Rodimus Prime who posted the meme, the Drake meme this week, talking about how I dissed the writing of Loki season 2, but I love the writing of the Power universe. And
that was funny.
While I had no comment on Twitter, I will have a comment here and say that Loki season 2, my problem with it is it thought it was trying to be smarter than it was, while Power is just trying to do what it is. It's trying to be entertaining. It's not trying to be some super intellectual shit. It's just trying to be entertaining, and doing that, it's very entertaining. But that point that you made is like, we can always get the ghetto shit. We can always get, like, I remember I tried to get my mom, rest in peace, to watch The Wire, and she was like, Benjamin, I'm not going to watch Black people killing each other. I've seen it enough. And it's great. I think The Wire is Shakespearean in its level of greatness, but it is a lot of Black people killing each other. And that's why it got greenlit, honestly, because of Black people killing each other. That's always something that's going to get greenlit because we love to see, we don't love to see it. Other people love to see Black people killing each other and portrayed that way because it creates the media image, as we talked about, of us being subhuman and willing to kill each other. So why shouldn't we be killed by the cops? Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem. So that's what, that's what I want to say there is that's why when things like Atlanta, when things that take risks, when things that aren't, the normal level of storytelling, I hope that we support them just as much as we support the Powers, the Love is Blinds, the Mea Culpas. Like if you're watching Mea Culpa on Netflix, make sure you're watching the Vince Staples show.
Yeah.
Give it another burn. Like if you're like, this is a little weird or whatever, man, just give it another watch.
Try.
Yeah, give it another try because I just feel like we are too quick to dismiss things when they are different than what we're used to.
And this is just from a different lane, but because we're still in the Netflix space, let me just say that everyone who had something overtly negative to say about the Avatar Last Bender live action series, you're out of your fucking mind. It was one of the most egregious displays of unwarranted hate I have ever seen. Just overall. That, I don't know if you started watching it, Ben, but no. I'm about halfway through. And when I say so far, generally, this has been bar for bar the animation. And in terms of the dedication to the production, when we're talking about the way the costuming, the expression of bending, the power sets, the locations, the characters themselves, the way that they behave, like it's almost bar for bar. And I'm just like, it's actually pretty well done. There are some concerns with the dialogue and the delivery, but besides that, everything else is like pretty good. So I was upset, like, not everyone, I just, particularly on the negative internets, I just kept seeing people, it's this and that, oh. And I'm like, and in a way, I was like, you know what, live action adaptations generally have a bad rap because they are bad typically. But people kept saying that. I'm like, let me make sure I watch this for myself. And it was the complete opposite. I was like, no, it wasn't the best adaptation I've ever seen. No, but it was good. Mm-hmm. It was good, right? So I just wanted to say, I'm really irritated by like, and unfortunately, I feel like Twitter has gotten just to become a completely negative space anyway. Yeah. But like, it's just, I'm like, where are all the good things to say about it? It was just weird to me. And it's okay if there's parts of it that, differ from the animation that, especially if you are a fundamentalist when it comes to that, like that bothers you. but it wasn't so far off. Like, and then some of the stuff we was reading when they said they changed the approach of the characters.
Mhm.
Like there was one we tweeted about a few weeks back where they explained that they took away the sexism of Sokka, right? And all that approach, and people were up in arms like, no, you're changing the character, and that's part of his arc. And yes, it's a twofold. Yes, that's part of the growth of that character, and because by the end he's not doing that shit no more. But also there's a way to do it in different ways, and also update the story a little bit. And from what I see so far, like it's not a vast, like the character is still the character. It's not much of a vast departure from the animated version. So
I heard the sexism is still there, like, in a
maybe
different
it's
way.
more implied now.
Yeah.
But instead of him just being straight up, you're a girl, you can't do this. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. It's just it was just completely unwarranted. I just want to tell people, like, if you're interested in it and wasn't sure, just give it a watch.
I'm still not 100% if I'm gonna watch it because I've still haven't finished the original. Like I've watched the first season and some of the
Okay.
second, and so I was like, I kind of just really want to finish the animation.
How far? But if you're already finished the first season or seen most of that, you can still. I don't, because remember, I'm only halfway through. But up
Oh
until
yeah,
this
this doesn't
point,
go that far. You're right.
yeah, up until this point, like, you're good. You can
Yeah,
watch
I feel
it.
you. Yeah, so I might catch it
And,
because I'm
and
still.
if nothing else, to see the shot by shot recreation, because some of
Mm.
it is word for word.
Because I've still been going through the X-Men 95 because X-Men 97 is about to debut in March. So I've still been
Right.
going through that joint because I can't wait for that. I actually only have one season left of it. I'm almost done with it.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean them episodes are short, and I'll have them on in the background while I'm doing other shit, because some of the stuff I'm like, I don't care about that. But like the Dark Phoenix saga was dope. I just finished that. That was very dope. I really enjoyed that. I've really been
So
enjoying
good.
it. Like I'm probably gonna go after this. I think I want to do Wolverine and the X-Men because that's only one season, and then I'm gonna do X-Men Evolution. Like I'm gonna go through all these.
Oh,
joints
you gotta
on
watch
here.
X-Men Evolution, man.
Yeah, I
Oh
know.
man.
Yep. So, and last but not least, Superman has a name change. The new James Gunn that's going to kick off the new DCU went from being called Superman Legacy. James said that by the time he finished the script and went through all the revisions, he knew that Superman Legacy wasn't a name anymore and it just needed
Yeah.
to be Superman.
It's
So
just
this
Superman.
and this is actually funny enough. This is going to be the first film that is actually just titled Superman because the original is known as Superman the movie.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, this will be the
Okay.
first one that is actually known as just Superman.
Yeah, and he posted a cute picture of him in the cast, and
Mhm.
he also posted James Gunn. He posted an image of the S on a Superman suit. So completely new stylized. It's a variation of what you've been seeing over
It's very interesting too
few
because
years.
the actual shape of the S that they're
It's a little
using
different.
it comes from Kingdom Come.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the S from the Kingdom Come
Oh
arc
yeah,
of
that is from
Superman.
Kingdom. Yeah.
It's just the colors are different because the S
Yeah.
from Kingdom Come has the black and the red versus this is
Yeah.
still the bright blue and
Yeah,
yellow.
this is the classic red on yellow,
Yeah.
and then the blue is the dark blue, but it's also muted colors, so it's like more so like the DC typical color scheme. So it's not, at least from this image, it's not like a bright
Yeah, and it's
Technicolor type shit.
And it's interesting because James has said that it's going to be bright. So people were actually complaining on
This
Twitter.
don't look
of course,
bright.
Yeah,
This
because
is just
people
an image, and like just
Yeah.
for y'all didn't see it, it's a super zoomed in image of the S on the chest. So like
with some snow around it.
with some snow around it. So like it could look like anything, next week. So
Yeah, so who knows? But I thought it looked good. I mean, it's a little, like I say, super zoomed in image. I'm still not sold on. I don't really know the dude who's playing Superman yet, so I'm just trying to see him in action as Superman to see how it goes. I definitely believe James Gunn is going to deliver. I do not for a second doubt him on this one. I think
not at
that-
all.
and especially that they're taking from allegedly not from Kingdom Come but from All Star Superman, which is my favorite. One of my favorite comics of all time.
That's one of my favorites. That's my top Superman story.
Oh yeah, easily. There's that one. There's this issue of Warren Ellis's Hitman. That's a really great Superman story. And then Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow that's one that'll have you in tears, man. That's like one of those.
Is that the one with the panel where he's helping? He's not the one with the panel where he's helping that boy who wants to like try to jump off the building.
No, that's also Superman. Is where
that's an
where
All-Star, right?
yeah, where you're stronger than you think you are.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
one of my
yeah.
favorite lines of all.
No, All-Star is my favorite Superman story.
Yeah.
Like that book is incredible.
Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow is one of them ones. That shit almost has me in tears. So it was like it was a goodbye to the golden age of Superman, and it's such a like, it's really dope. It's It's really, really dope. There's been some really great ones.
Shout out to Perry Young, who we ran into at the screening for Dune 2. We've actually interviewed Perry many years ago.
Yep.
Perry Young flutes, right?
Yep.
He's actually on the show Warrior that got moved from Max to what is it on now?
To Netflix.
To Netflix, yeah.
And
so,
it's now it was the number one show this week on Netflix.
Congratulations to Perry, number one. And number two, we're gonna have you back because we gotta catch up with him and all the new shit that he's been a part of. And like I said, Netflix seems to be grabbing all the stuff. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else about me?
Make sure y'all pre-order Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze. Available now from all your favorite shops, bookstores, comic books, anywhere. Make sure you do that. By the time you hear this, pre-orders need to be in. There's it's like one cutoff date was this Thursday, but there's another cutoff date coming. And a very special, we're running a very special promotion with Anyone Comics where I will be signing a limited edition of Jimi Hendrix Purple Haze.
Nice.
So if you go to Anyone Comics website, you can order from it, and they are shipping it nationwide. I'm not sure about worldwide. You might have to hit them up DM them on Instagram or on Twitter, and they can answer that for you. But they are shipping it nationwide, and I'll be signing them all. Hopefully, we can get Tom to also sign them. We're going to be having a signing and a release party at Anyone Comics, and Tom said he'll be there if possible. So
Mello come in?
I don't know. Me and Mello will both be at San Diego Comic-Con that week. And then the book gets released July 30th. So that's like the weekend, like that's 2 days after San Diego Comic-Con. So I'm going to be flying back here, obviously, for the release party. So if possible, I will get Mello out here. But, that man's working like crazy. So it might be, tight for him to take off that time from his, day job as being a super producer on every TV show out there right now. So who knows? But if possible, we'll get him out there so he can sign some books. We'll definitely be signing them at San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to do a big release there as well. So if you catch us there, you'll be able to get it signed by both of us. And Tom's going to be out there as well. So, all three of us. Wow. Yeah, and I have to say, man, we keep talking about this book. And thank you for everyone who has pre-ordered it. Anyone Comments told me we tripled our pre-orders this week. So thank you to everybody who did that. That was really beautiful. And please continue to do that. And the closer it gets, just the wilder this gets for me. Like today on that big meeting I was talking about this book, and I'm really anticipating people reading this. And I really poured me, Mello, Tom, Justin, everyone involved in this, poured our heart and soul into this book, man. And so the closer it gets, it just gets so weirder to me. Like, I know in the long run, I'm going to have many comic books, but this one will always be super special to me. And so I really can't wait for people to read this, man.
So proud of you.
Oh, thank you. And with that, we out here, and we will be back next week with more ForAllNerds. Thank y'all for joining us. Love you. Stay strong. Peace. Love, all that good stuff out there.
Fan Bros,
Hey, what's up, internets and the fan fam? This is Tatiana King for ForAllNerds, and I want to thank you so much for listening and watching to ForAllNerds. Make sure you like and subscribe to us only on YouTube.